So today we're joined by Ben Goertzel, the CEO of SingularityNET and one of the world's leading thinkers in artificial intelligence. So welcome to the show, Ben, and maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about what the intersection between blockchain technology and artificial intelligence actually is.
Blockchain and AI are both foundational technologies for the next few decades. They're both key parts of creating a beneficial technological singularity, which is really what I'm after with all of my science and engineering and other work. And I do think AI in a way is the foundational technology. I mean, if you can make a machine smarter than people and benevolently oriented toward people, then as I.J. Good said in 1965, like the first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make, right? So in a way, AI potentially trumps everything. On the other hand, how do you get to that AI that trumps everything, right? And one key aspect when one thinks about the advent of AI in the next years and decades is who owns the AI, who controls the AI, based on what set of inputs is the AI learning and evolving and developing. And this is really where blockchain comes in, because using blockchain as a foundation for AI allows AI to be controlled in a decentralized manner without any single point of failure, without any single point of control.
So where does the AGI token come into all of this for SingularityNET?
So SingularityNET, we can look at as a layer in the decentralized tech stack, right? And SingularityNET, it's a multi-agent system that allows multiple AI agents to communicate, cooperate with each other, share information, outsource work to each other. And the AGIX token it's the payment token, it's the reputation rating token, it's the governance and voting token of this multi-agent AI system. Now, on top of this multi-agent AI system, you need specific AI algorithms to go into those agents, right? And I mean that's among other things where the OpenCog Hyperon system I've been working on comes in, which is a sort of neural symbolic AGI platform designed for implementation on SingularityNET. But we also have various sorts of neural nets and other reasoning systems running on SingularityNET, right? So SingularityNET is a multi-agent system for AI. It's designed to run distributed on top of a blockchain. And on top of it, you have specific AI algorithms and architectures. On top of those AI algorithms, you have vertical market specific products doing, say, decentralized finance, like our Singularity DAO products, or doing medical AI, like our Rejuve products and so forth. Now, below SingularityNET in the tech stack, of course, you need a blockchain, right? And below the blockchain, you've got computer operating systems and the internet. Below that, you got compute hardware, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of pieces here to what we're building. And for the blockchain aspect, of course, we launched SingularityNET running on Ethereum pretty much because it was there. It was easier to work with Ethereum smart contracts than to build our own blockchain or to build on top of Bitcoin, which didn't have as mature of a smart contract framework. I was never incredibly happy with Ethereum. And I mean, I love the Ethereum guys, and the philosophy of a world computer is kick-ass, right? But the Solidity is not a very advanced programming language. If you look at the modern theory of programming languages and computer science, and proof of work in the form that you have in Bitcoin or Ethereum didn't ever turn me on too much, just because of the, hastening the heat death of the universe unnecessarily, and the heat death of the planet as well, right? So when I saw Cardano emerging based on Haskell as a smart contract language, which is a fundamentally superior programming approach to Solidity, WebAssembly, and so forth, and without this legacy of proof of work to overcome either, it was very appealing to move the underlayer of SingularityNet onto Cardano.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, thanks for not hastening the heat death of the universe. I think everybody appreciates that. But secondly, let's talk about the process for migrating from Ethereum to Cardano. What does that look like for you guys?
The very beginning of this, we're launching quite soon. I believe the launch date is now out as April 18th. So on April 18th, we will have a Cardano version of the AGIX token. Now we're keeping the Ethereum version. We did a hard fork of AGIX a while ago, which allowed AGIX to be multi-chain. So we could have flavors of AGIX on multiple blockchains. For now, we will have the good old AGIX Ethereum and the new AGIX on ADA as a Cardano native asset. And we've actually been able to mint AGIX on ADA for some time, but the converter that we're launching April 18th allows anyone to use Plutus smart contracts to swap back and forth between AGIX and Ethereum, AGIX, ADA. And we had earlier versions of this converter that were more centralized in nature. We weren't that happy with. Now we're using Plutus in a quite elegant and high quality way for the converter. And I think what we've done there with the IOHK team together with the SingularityNET team will be a sort of a template that can be used for further Ethereum ADA native asset conversions. And I mean, this is important. It's a first step. It of course doesn't get you that far. And we're looking at putting the bulk of our effort in SingularityNET on the Cardano version of the platform rather than the legacy Ethereum version. So there's then a series of steps after that April 18th converter launch. So I mean, the next one will probably be staking of AGIX ADA tokens, just because it's a fairly straightforward thing to do. And the staking rewards we haven't worked out all the details, but will probably be more appealing than on the Ethereum version. So we'll be pulling more of the community who likes staking into the ADA native asset community. Then the bigger step after that will be porting the whole SingularityNET marketplace onto Cardano, and that's more of a technical step because we have some fairly sophisticated sort of multi-party escrow wallet system and so on in the platform. We need to get that all running in Plutus. Then the following step after that, which is even further in the future, I've been putting a bunch of time in the last few months into designing a new Cardano sidechain customized for AI, which is called Hypercycle. So in the first few steps going forward from here, SingularityNET will be running directly on the Cardano main chain, which is great. It's going to be a big step forward in scalability, speed, low cost, usability from the Ethereum infrastructure we've been working with. But concurrently with porting the SingularityNET marketplace and protocol onto Cardano main chain, we also have formed a team who's working on something called Hypercycle, which is a custom Cardano sidechain just for decentralized AI. And this I think can provide even another level of scaling and usability, high speed, low cost, and so forth. I mean, then you'll have a stack where you have SingularityNET atop Hypercycle, which is then running on top of Cardano main chain. And this is a combination of Cardano's Hydra interface, which is really an unprecedentedly flexible way to interface Cardano and other blockchains, including sidechains. And one thing that lets us do is run Plutus contracts on the sidechain, which is quite important. So we're using Hydra to interface with the sidechain in an elegantly isomorphic way. Then in the sidechain itself, we're using a mix of the proof of reputation consensus system we've prototyped in SingularityNET, and then something called Toda, which is developed by Tufi Saliba and Dan Tolliver, which is a ledgerless blockchain technology. So you have a blockchain and consensus mechanisms and no distributed or replicated ledger. Rather, each node or agent in the system is like its own micro ledger containing a Merkle tree recording its own history and the history of its neighbors. So by bringing together Hydra, Plutus, the Toda ledgerless blockchain, and then proof of reputation in a way that's customized to meet the needs of decentralized AI, and then leveraging what the Cardano main chain has to offer on the back end. I mean, I think at that point we're going to be so far beyond everything else out there that's going to be really, really exciting. And I think this is what we need to, overtake the big tech giants in the field of AI, right? Because our real competitors in my mind are Google and Amazon and Tencent and Facebook and Microsoft. I mean, these big companies are the ones that are dominating the AI that's rolling out across our planet, right? And if we want the decentralized AI ecosystem to compete with them, it can't be this slow, awkward, expensive thing that's only worth putting up with if you love the philosophy behind it, right? I mean, it has to be cheaper, faster, and slicker than what the big tech companies are doing. And there's a whole lot of aspects to that. But I think with the Cardano version of SingularityNET and then the hypercycle sidechain added in, I mean, I think we have a real path to being better than what big tech is doing in terms of speed, cost, and usability, as well as being, philosophically and morally far superior, which is already the case.
Wow, that's incredible. Once all this is deployed, what does it actually look like? How are people interacting with SingularityNET? I
mean, from an end user's point of view, it's just dApps, right? I mean, just like how do you interact with Google's massive centralized AI engine running on all these server farms, right? I mean, you interact with it via a search engine or Google Assistant on your smartphone or something, right? So, I mean, what we're looking at is creating the AI engine powering the global AI economy. And ultimately what that should mean is AI is ambient behind every product that you use. I mean, you have smart homes, smart cars, smart cities. You have a virtual assistant in your smartphone that actually understands what the hell you're talking about. You have AI behind the supply chains delivering stuff to your house. You have AI bioscientists discovering new cures for diseases and AI engineers designing new products. I mean, so there's a whole dApp layer, right? So you've got the dApp layer, and then you've got the AI algorithm layer, and you've got the SingularityNET multi-agent system layer, then you've got Hypercycle, then you've got Cardano, then Linux and the internet. So from the end user's point of view, we're really just about making blockchain-based AI the best choice for every application developer on the planet, which is not the case right now. I mean, sometimes it's the best choice. Often it isn't really the best choice for what a given AI developer wants to do. You want it to be the best choice across the board. I mean, just as, right now, using cloud computing is almost always the best case for an application developer, right? Like, it didn't used to be. There was a while when the cloud was too expensive and annoying to use. There was a while when it was like, well, do we use cloud computing or do we host everything locally, right? Now, pretty much everything's going to go in the cloud, right? And you need blockchain-based AI to be like that. You need it to be the default choice for every sort of AI application. And that we're certainly far from there in the sense that there's a lot yet to be built. But the beauty of exponential acceleration of technological progress, as we move closer to a singularity, right? The beauty of exponential acceleration is that what seems very far can actually be, 2 or 3 years off, because each year you're getting more done than in the previous year.
With that being said, there's still a long way to go before we have a universal artificial intelligence backend running everything that's also decentralized at the same time.
We're not there yet. I mean, I think we'll have SingularityNET. Well, we'll have the token converter on the 18th of April or before. We'll have SingularityNET running on Cardano certainly this year, hopefully not that far into the year. We should have SingularityNET. I mean, we'll have a hypercycle alpha this fall, but we should have a full-scale SingularityNET running on hypercycle before the end of 2023. And we're looking at rolling out a whole bunch of dApps on SingularityNET on Cardano this year. So, I mean, there's Singularity DAO is already doing DeFi trading on this sort of platform. And we need to pull in a bigger and bigger community into developing things. I think the Cardano Catalyst program has been great for this. There was a sort of dedicated tranche of Catalyst funding for projects specifically building on SingularityNET, which is great and is still in process now. We have something called Deep Funding. You can see about it, Deep Funding AI, which is decentralized ecosystem project funding. And this is SingularityNET's own analog of Catalyst, right? It's SingularityNET's own grant funding program aimed at giving out AGIX ADA token grants to anyone who wants to build cool stuff on the SingularityNET platform on Cardano. And the first tranche of that, which should be around $1 million USD worth of AGIX tokens, we're just starting the process of collecting proposals and giving that out now. So I think we're building cool stuff ourselves. We're also through Catalyst and Deep Funding trying to, catalyze the pulling in of a larger community to help build this. So there is a lot to do, but the good news is we're doing it, right?
So how do you recommend people get involved?
If you want to keep up to speed on what we're doing, SingularityNET.io is the place to look. I've mentioned Hypercycle, which is hypercycle.ai, but all the SingularityNET ecosystem projects are linked from SingularityNET website. Then there's newsletter, Telegram, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and so forth. I think if you're interested to plunge in and do stuff in the blockchain space, I mean, as well as all our code being open source and inviting collaboration, take a look at the Deep Funding program, because I mean we're looking to give away token grants to anyone who wants to help build stuff on the ecosystem. And developers are the most obvious people to apply for this, but I think, as you see in the Catalyst program, there's a lot of power to a team that has developers, but also some non-technical people helping with marketing, project management, evangelism, arts, and so forth. So one way to jump in is to join a team applying for a Deep Funding grant, then, build a dApp on SingularityNET on Cardano and tell everyone in the world to use your amazing dApp, right? And I mean, this is how we make it all real. And I mean, it's happening now.
So before you go, I was told to ask you about a project called Jam Galaxy. Wonder if you can let us know a little bit about it.
Yeah. So one of my hobbies, which helps keep me insane in spite of having somehow fallen into the job of being a crypto CEO. I'm not sure if it keeps me sane or insane or whatever, but as you can see from the keyboard rack behind me, I've been a sort of weekend musician for many decades now. And I've not been trying to earn money as a musician, because although I'm insane, I'm not that insane. But of course, I've observed what's happened to the whole music economy, right? And I mean, Spotify, these streaming services, they're cool in a way. You can get an awful lot of music for almost no money. On the other hand, this is not necessarily good for the artists, right? So there's essentially no way for anyone to make money from music now, unless they're one of a teeny tiny percentage of super big superstars who are blessed by the corporate music ecosystem. I mean, in the long run, that doesn't matter, because superhuman AGI will liberate everyone from having to work for a living and just give us free stuff. And then we can just jam on music all day for each other if that's what we feel like. But during the say 1 to 3 decades it will take to get to that rosy future, I mean, it will be nice if musicians who have good music and actual fan communities had a way to pay their rent and send their kids to college and stuff. So, I mean, Jam Galaxy aims at then using tokenization to overhaul the economics of the music industry. And there's a number of other projects aiming at that, which is good. It's a need that has to be filled. I think what makes Jam Galaxy unique as a tokenomics of music project is really two things. We're pretty sophisticated on the decentralized finance side. So we're going to reuse a bunch of what we've done in Singularity DAO on music. So Singularity DAO basically uses machine learning and machine reasoning to automatically trade and market make for baskets of altcoins. And we're doing this on Ethereum now because it's where the liquidity is. I'm really looking forward to launching SingDAO on Cardano, where you have baskets of native assets, sort of like exchange traded funds that are dynamically reweighted by the AI. And then AI is trading and market making for these dynamically weighted baskets. So you can have a basket of tokenized music tokens. You can have a basket of AI project tokens. You can have a basket of supply chain oriented tokens, and the AI is then trading these baskets, right? So one thing we're doing in Jam Galaxy is, well, hey, you can have a basket of tokens. It's almost like a Spotify playlist, right? Like you can have a basket of like grindcore music tokens, or you can have a basket of shred guitar music tokens, or a basket of modern classical music tokens, whatever it is. And then you can have machine learning working to trade these baskets of tokens. You can define futures and options on them. So I want to pull, not only provide musicians with a way to make NFTs of their songs and tokenize themselves as artists with tokens that yield royalty streams, but you want to provide a derivative DeFi ecosystem on top of that. So right, so then you're turning the fans of musicians who want to do something to help those musicians, right? You're turning the fans of musicians into advocates for the DeFi products derived from those musicians' tokens, which is pretty funky. And the other unique aspect there is the AI aspect, where one of the things that musicians can get reward tokens for, I mean, as well as just putting up great music that people want to listen to, one of the things musicians can get reward tokens for is contributing data to the Jam Galaxy, like musical data commons, right? So for example, if you have a band and you record something in the studio and you have multiple tracks, right? Upload that raw multi-track recording to the Jam Galaxy data commons. You get some reward tokens for that. The AI will then train models. So the AI could train models of you as a musician. If someone else wants a virtual simulacrum of you in their band, then they can pay some tokens to the virtual model trained on you to have it play in their band. But we can also use that as training data, right? So we're training models to automate the mixing and production process. If your data was useful training the model that automates mixing and production, then you get a little bit of tokens when anyone uses that AI music producer, right? So you're bringing DeFi and AI into the tokenized music ecosystem. And so getting back to your question of, like, how does this scaling up and decrease of cost and everything of AI on blockchain affect the end user? I mean, it's everywhere, right? In this case, we're seeing it's in music, but there's a whole fine arts and visual arts story that David Hansen will tell you that ties into the Sophiaverse metaverse that we're building on SingularityNET also. So music happens to be my own hobby, so I put a bunch of time into that. But the same story across every vertical market will be transformed. And just as a final point on that, it happens that the co-founders of Jam Galaxy are all musicians. So we've recorded some pretty cool music of our own progressive jazz fusion jazz band together with a humanoid robot performing some AI generated vocals, some spoken word and a little singing. So look out for the Jam Galaxy band recordings, human plus robot, to hit YouTube at some point also.
Ben Goertzel, thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to literally all the things that you're coming out with soon.